Check 1, 2. On this one or this one?
Check 1, 2.
Check 1, 2. Check, check. Test, good? Okay. Hi, everyone. Hey.
Shalom, how are you?
Shalom. It's good to see you.
Yeah,
How are you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Can we put a big, huge note on here? Speakers, please take your mask off. When they talk through here, we can't hear them out there with your mask on.
Oh, good to know. I'll tell Lisa.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know
Doesn't matter to me.
when they get up to make the announcements, it's muffled.
Okay. Okay. I will pass that
I
on.
don't know if it's quote legal.
I know yesterday must have been a tough day for you, right? Was yesterday a tough day for you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How are you doing?
Okay. See, because I got the 10th, which is the Marine Corps birthday, followed by Veterans Day.
Okay.
And I was local this year, stayed here this year. I didn't go up to Dixon to work experience.
Yeah. There's these little dates on the calendar that just kind of jolt you a little bit, you know?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
But we were down in, on my post is the Rivet City Post.
Okay.
So I'm president of the auxiliary, so we have everything going on at Courthouse Square in Rivet City. And we made over Saver, congressman, and
it's really nice.
yeah, had the whole thing, about 2 hour service and ceremony yesterday, so it was very nice.
When I was in
Absolutely gorgeous.
that was such a beautiful day, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it was.
Got lucky. Shabbat shalom. Well, anyway, it's nice that you're keeping the memory alive.
Yes, that's good.
And Lisa's here now. You can relay your message to her directly if you want.
I can relay it to you directly. When someone gets up here to speak, with his mask on, very muffled.
Okay, yeah, that's still our COVID protocols. Shaw and I are tested right before we get on the FEMA, so that's why we take off our masks. I can give the feedback to the committee, but I don't think for now that's.
Yeah, because they usually take it off when they speak, and then they put it back on and walk back down.
This is really something to talk to Kate about,
Yeah.
but I'm not in charge of that FEMA protocols, but yeah, but this is, sorry, I just need a minute before services to get ready, so that's a good note for her.
I don't remember how we used to do this. Was this here before?
Whatever's comfortable.
Well, I gotta make this microphone.
And we're COVID tested. Yes. No, I did one yesterday. Shwa just did one right now. I didn't have another test, so we just did the one for our family, and I hope that's okay. Yep, great. Hi, welcome.
That's a good thing. Keep this off. Ah. 1 second.
Let's do it. Welcome.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
Shabbat Shalom. Welcome. It's really nice to be back together in our sanctuary for a normal, calm Shabbat, right in between last week's Shabbat Hallelu and upcoming Hanukkah celebrations.
Tonight, in just a typical Shabbat, we are joined by our confirmands and their families as we think about God. Yeah, God. Even just saying the word feels a little bit unsure. In 5 years in rabbinical school, faith in God was rarely discussed, never expected, and sometimes even disparaged. We don't require it as a litmus test to join here for Shabbat or even to be a Jew. And yet ideas about God are all over our Torah, our culture, rituals and traditions, and of course our prayers. So tonight as we gather for Shabbat, we are going to explore some of the theology that appears in our Torah portion and all over our prayer book. And to begin, I want to share a metaphor from a medieval rabbi, Leon Modena, who imagined a person in a boat pulling themselves to shore. If one didn't know any better, it could appear that the person is pulling the shore to themselves. But indeed, it is the one in the boat who is being moved because the shore is fixed. So it is, he said, with prayer. We think that when we pray, we are moving God closer to our will. But true prayer does quite the opposite. It moves us closer to God's will. If we come out of a prayer experience as better human beings than the ones who sat down, our prayers indeed have been answered. When we invoke the strength, guidance, and love of God in our prayers, we elevate ourselves. By seeking God through prayer, we can change our lives. We can start now. So we'll begin our service with adding light to our sacred space. We light our Shabbat candles, and I want to invite the parents of a confirmation student who are here tonight to join us on the bima to help light Shabbat candles. And this is impromptu, so don't worry, we'll help you out. We're on pages 2 and 3 in our Siddur. The handheld mic that's on your thing.
Now you're looking for the lighter.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Thanks. And one of you can just pick up that candle. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shal Shabbat. Thank you. Confirmation students, in case you were feeling jealous that your parents got to participate, I'm putting you on warning for Kiddush later tonight. We are going to continue welcoming Shabbat with the words of L'cha Dodi. You can join in on page 20.
L'cha Dodi likrat
Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad hishmianu el hamayuchad Adonai echad hu shmo echad l'shem ol tiferet ve'eli tchila lecha dodi likrat kahala p'nei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likrat kahala p'nei Shabbat nekabela likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki hi makor habracha merosh mikedem nesucha sof ma'aseh b'makshavat tchila lecha dodi likrat kalav p'nei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likrat kalav p'nei Shabbat nekabela. Verse 5. Hitoreri ki ba'orech kumi uri shir daveri kavod Adonai alayik nigla lecha dodi likrat kalav p'nei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likrat kalav p'nei Shabbat nekabela. We rise to greet Shabbat's presence. We call her the Sabbath bride. Verse 9. Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam b'simcha uve'tzochola toch emunei am segula boi kala lecha dodi likrat kalav p'nei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likrat kalav p'nei Shabbat nekabela p'nei Shabbat nekabela. We remain standing and turn to page 28, inviting each other into a worship community, a minyan, with the words of Baruch Hu. If you're participating via Zoom and you want to wish us a Shabbat Shalom so you can be part of our community here in the sanctuary, please do that so we can really see that you're here too. We join together. Yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Le'olam va'ed. Yalalai, lai, lai. Yalalai, lai, lai. Yalalai, lai, lai. Yalalai, lai, lai. Yalalai, lai, lai.
Yalalai, lai, lai. Yalalai, lai, lai.
Yalalai, lai, lai. The Shema has been called the most important words of Judaism, our cardinal expression, and the watchword of the Jewish faith. Scholars identify it as the core of the Torah, the identifying mark of Jews throughout the centuries, or just the anthem of our people. But what makes this prayer so central is the simplest message of all: God is one. The Shema persists like an eternal heartbeat, affirming the religious beliefs of an ancient people and the longings of a new generation. Listen, Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Page 34.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
You may be seated. Continue on page 36. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'feitecha uvletecha v'derech u'shofbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha uktavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisha'arecha Lemahan tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim le'Elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lehiot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Adonai Elohechem emet. There is no single way for Jews to think about miracles. There are those whose faith rests on the belief that God performs miracles, both personal and communal. And just as God did so in our history, more are possible. Others understand miracles as fantastical stories or allegories that still may enhance their spirituality in other ways. And others still have sought rational explanations for the miracles recorded in Torah, while some reject the idea altogether. Like so much else in Judaism, our tradition holds rooms for more than one view. But Jewish texts and lore are complete with miracles and wonders, from the bush that burned with fire but was not consumed, our miraculous rescue from slavery in Egypt, or the tiny cruse of oil that burned for 8 days straight. And as a result, each Shabbat we sing about the potential for miracles based on what is perhaps the most iconic miracle of all time, the splitting of the Red Sea. We sing Mi Chamocha, page 40. Judith Plaskow writes, metaphors for God that might once have been compelling may lose their immediacy and power, especially if those images of God were drawn from political associations or family structures that are no longer adequate. Instead of evoking the reality of God, how we refer to God can even block the possibility of religious experience for some. And so it has been with the prayer Hashkivenu. We once called God Malkenu, a king, a God of royalty, a God of power. But the prayer of Hashkivenu doesn't speak to the power of God. It speaks to a God of comfort and compassion. This prayer asks God to help us lie down in peace and wake up to a life restored and renewed. The God we want to watch over us as we sleep is a God we now call Shomrenu, a guardian, a protector, a caretaker. It's no wonder that we say God has 70 faces. We have to encounter God in the way we need to, from experience to experience, moment to moment. Hashkivenu is on page 42.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'shalom, L'shalom, V'hamidenu Shomreinu L'chaim, Ufros Aleinu shlomecha. Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, our wrong from right. Amen. 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 Amen.
Our tradition asks a question of the Amidah. Why do we say God of Abraham, God of Isaac, God of Jacob? Why do we list each patriarch and matriarch individually when it would have been much more efficient to have just said God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? We answer that each individual creates their own personal relationship with God. Our relationship is not like anyone else's, especially the relationships of our own parents. Each generation must create their own covenant with God anew. And still, it's no accident that we open this essential prayer by invoking the parents of our faith. Our relationship with God develops like our relationship to parents. When we're young, we look for safety and comfort, or may see all-powerful figures. But as we grow older, we find our own voice and want support in finding our independence and self-actualization. As we grow, so does our relationship and understanding of God. I invite you to rise and enter a time to explore that personal relationship. We begin on page 46.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagir tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may praise your name. La 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 la, ya 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 la 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 la. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot,
ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה. ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, בחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. Again, we find that moment of personal intention, personal prayer and reflection, or just time to be silent or quiet. When you feel ready, you may take a seat.
Dear God of our ancestors, help us renew our faith. Grant us a perfect healing. Bring peace to all our days. Rifana lanu, Elhuna Rifana lanu. Restore strength of body, help clarify our minds, refresh our tired spirits, rejuvenate our light. Elhuna Rifana lanu.
life vacillates always between hardship and comfort, disappointment and elation, trauma and healing. And prayer is in all of those emotions. When we're joyful, we pray in gratitude. And when we're challenged, we pray too for healing of mind, body, and spirit. Not because we expect God will answer or that a situation will change, but because the act of prayer is an affirmation of hope. As Abraham Joshua Heschel teaches, prayer cannot rebuild a ruined city, but prayer can mend a broken heart, water an arid soul, and restore a weakened will. We pray now for all of those who need that hope and who need that healing. If you're praying for someone tonight, I invite you to rise. Rabbi Daryl and I will walk around the sanctuary and hear those names of the ones you are praying for. In addition to the names you shared with me, our community is praying for Bill Slapin, Stephanie Levitt, Marilyn Greenwald, Marcia Margolin, Francie Karp, Leah Batz-Gedalia Batz-Vega, Tamara Grecht, Evan Bin, Lynn Etlinger, Larry Margolis, Carolyn Orens, Susanna Larios, Robert Cohen, Ronald Winchell, Mia Goldstein, Ken Brenner, Gary Verbin, Lynn Phillips, Larry Gurman, Celia Harms, Rebecca Frazier, Marcel Frazier, Sherry Berenstein, Bob Gisuti, Maxine Rogo, Gail Prince, Diana Pettit, Pari Maskin, Steve Tolkien, Morton Prager, Doug McCracken, Maria Guthrie, Kurt Mayer, Linda Silverio, David Habib, Anna Tran, Linnell Bin, Jane Barker Haugen, Siegel Olga Bat Baruch, Elkanan, Larissa Elkin, Carol Starr, Marion Frazier, Jeremy Kermit, Lev Heschel Ben Bat Ami, Suzanne Price, Gary Nelson, Gal Ori Steinitz, Rami Ben Harav Mordechai Halevi, Grady Schur, the Carney Friedman family, and Miriam Seslow.
Refina la nu. Elhuna refina la nu. Elhuna refina la
Refana lanu. We wish a refuah shlema. Shabbat shalom. So I mentioned earlier that this Shabbat is special because our confirmation students are here tonight as part of their learning journey. Their families were all invited to have Shabbat dinner. We're here together at services. And then later tonight, I'm going to stay up late with them as we talk about God. And this is really a rabbi's dream, that her students want to be here and go into deep reflective learning. That's awesome. Tonight, I'm really grateful to Yaakov, also known as Jacob, who's featured in this week's Torah portion, Vayetze, to be our teacher. Rabbi Karen Kadar writes, perhaps more than all the patriarchs, Jacob is the one that struggles the most with the invisible. He dreams and he wrestles with what is unnamed. He looks into the eyes of his enemy, yet sees the face of God. His journey is a spiritual wandering towards discovery and self-awareness. So thank you, Jacob. You're perfect for us all, but especially for teenagers who are on their own spiritual journeys of confirmation. In this week's Torah portion, Jacob is just setting out on his journey from Beersheba to Haran. He has just duped his dying father and stolen from his brother Esau. And now Jacob was fleeing his ancestral home to save his life and hopefully make a new life for himself with family. As the sun sets, he decides to spend the night outside in the place, Hamakom, where he happens to be, resting his head on one of the stones that he has found there. The biblical text doesn't tell us the name of this place. Presumably, Jacob himself doesn't know it. Yet it becomes clear in the next few verses why exactly this place matters. For after Jacob wakes up the next morning from a dream in which he encounters God, he comes to the life-changing realization that the eternal is present in this place. When Jacob awakes, he declares, "Surely God is in this place, ve'anochi lo yadati, and I was not aware of it." Indeed, this awe-inspiring place is none other than the house of God, and Jacob dedicates the spot and names it Bethel. Jacob has felt the presence of God alone in the desert through a dream during a tough time of transition. Where have we felt God's presence? How did we know? Do we have the faith to declare so boldly, "Surely I encountered God"? How difficult it is to encounter God in any place. Because our Torah names Bethel, well, let's start there too, right here in our own temple. A place where we may come to seek God. But how exactly does it happen? Is it upon entering the beauty of the sanctuary? Is it with the ritual of wrapping oneself in an embracing talit? Is it the gorgeous musical services that help us connect with the divine, or the soothing voice of Cantor Alana or Shua? Perhaps you connect with the comforting ancient words of liturgy or inspiring words of Torah that motivate us to do better and be better. Or perhaps it's the community here, the voices of others singing along in chorus, the connection we feel towards one another from our shared traditions, or the feeling you get just knowing you're not alone, but surrounded by the most holy sense of community. Or maybe it's something totally different. Maybe like Jacob, you need to be in nature. It is the vast and empty desert, or standing before a stretch of ocean, or looking at a sky full of stars that make you feel so small and insignificant that you just know the world around you is your God. It's a reminder that you are just one soul in a sea of beautiful chaos. Or perhaps it's the still small voice that speaks to you in whispers, that little nudge of conscience or intuition that helps you find your way when you're lost in a time of transition like Jacob. Commentators have noted the strange Hebrew grammar that Jacob uses as he awakes from his sleep. He says Anoki, which means I, but in this sentence it's superfluous. To translate it literally, we would have to say, God was in this place, and I did not know it. So why the double I? To this, Rabbi Pinchas Horowitz gives a magnificent answer. How do we come to know that God is in this place? By ve'anochi lo yadati, not knowing the I. We know God when we forget the self. We sense the thou of the divine presence when we move beyond the I of egocentricity. Only when we stop thinking about ourselves do we become truly open to the world and the creator of the world. This may have influenced the philosopher Martin Buber's idea when he articulated his understanding of human and divine relationships in the context of I and thou. Buber taught that when we experience another person as thou and have an I-thou experience with him, her, or them, they're not just a thing among things, nor do they consist of material qualities. A person is not merely a pronoun limited by other pronouns, a dot in the universal grid of time and space, nor are they a characteristic that can be experienced and then described. No one is just those loose bundles of labeled qualities. Standing alone and whole, they is thou, and fills the universe completely. It's not as if there were nothing but them, but rather it is as if everything else lives in their light. Have any of these ideas of God spoken to you? Well, these are the conversations that our teens and I will get to continue late into the evening, but I invite you to continue them at home too. For our spiritual journey, our journey of faith, is part of what brings us here. It's part of life. Our lives, like the angels going up and down Jacob's ladder, are also a series of peaks and valleys. And we may think that God appears in transcendent, blissful, or extraordinary experiences, but Jacob reminds us that we also find God in the depths, when we are alone, when we doubt the most. And so we embrace it all. Jacob's understanding of God in this moment is really an understanding of himself as inseparable from the divine that is all around him and within him. And Parshat Vayetze suggests we just need to pay closer attention. So Shabbat Shalom, and good luck on your seeking. We're now going to hear some other opportunities of some things that might bring you here to PTBE, some ways to get to know and experience this community. I'm going to invite Julia Mates, representative of our Board of Trustees and our new chair of our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion work here at PTBE. I'm really grateful to have her here.
Shabbat Shalom. As Rabbi Lisa mentioned, there's a lot of really exciting things coming up. So Hanukkah is coming up. It's the holiday where we celebrate the rededication of our holy temple in Jerusalem. And we are at PTBE offering 4 ways to rededicate yourself to temple this season, the 28th of November through December 5th. There's a Zoom candle lighting with temple leaders. December 3rd, Shabbat Hallelu Hanukkah. December 4th is the Hanukkah Community Concert. And December 5th is the Interfaith Friendship Committee Hanukkah Diwali celebration. And for each of these, it's actually this announcement, it can be found in the PTBE Weekly and also online. You can RSVP, but if anyone has trouble accessing the internet or finding out how to RSVP or get more information, feel free to contact us and we can help you out. Taste of the Talmud, the most important, rarely studied text in Reform synagogues. The next session is November 18th, and this is taught by our very own Rabbi Daryl Crystal. It's on Zoom only, and it's okay if you've already missed the first one. You can explore the Talmud's insights about civic society and healthy debate, when to impeach a leader, and qualities of leadership, and #MeToo and grievous sins. So that sounds very interesting. And then this Saturday, tomorrow at 9 a.m., Shabbat Family Jam. It's the Shabbat Family Jam. It's an in-person opportunity for families with young children ages 0 to 7 to connect to Jewish life, learning, and friendships at PTBE. And it begins with a lively, interactive musical Shabbat experience with cantor Alana and teacher Allison, and then moves into a hands-on Jewish learning and craft activity, and finishes with playtime on the PTBE playground. That's tomorrow and December 11th, January 15th, February 5th, March 12th, it goes into April 9th and May 14th, and it's $100 per family, discounted rate for full year. So if you want to register for that, go on the website as well. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you. We're especially excited to celebrate Hanukkah before you know it. So definitely, especially check out that community concert. We're really excited about opportunities to bring everyone back together in celebration, in joy, and light. It's going to be awesome. Well, we transition now. I know so many of you are here tonight because you have lost someone you love. You are here to be surrounded by people who care, people who hold you up as you remember those who you have loved and lost. So in recent losses, if you're remembering someone tonight, I invite you to rise to be recognized by the community. And in recent losses, we are remembering Manugar Gatan. Did I pronounce that correctly? Thank you. Sunya Shah and Dr. Arthur Bowden. And this Shabbat, we are observing the yahrzeit of Edith Baker, Tilly Batt, Samuel Blattis, Ray Brizzy, Richard Bryant, Fred Bookwalter, Francis Cohen, Adele Gerson, Nathan Gerson, Jerome Gordon, Rick Green, Jack Zachary Greenberg, Erna Grushka, Sylvia Height, Mary Hartley, Irene Herzvik, Ruth Hoffman, Bernard B. Holman, Eileen Kenner, Ad Kinsey, Jeannie Leibowitz, David Lepsager, Bernard Mannheimer, Seymour Markowitz, Terrence McDowell, Annette Meyerbach, Ronald Miller, Alvin Nadler, Irving Nehushin, Beth Ottinger, Oded Rennan, Theo Rogello, Sol Rosenberg, Hillard Ross, Neil Ross, Edna Rusalem, Robert Shemoff, Harold Wachter, Robert Weil, Edith Wertheimer, Joseph Benjamin West, Lawrence Wolfe, and Abraham Udenfren. We rise together in support of our mourners, and we join in words of Kaddish, page 294. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yama divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chaychon v'yomechon uv'chayed chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevrach le'olam olmei olmaya, Yitzbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'et hadar, v'et alev, v'et halal, shemed kedusha barichu, le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechamata, zamiran be'ama v'imru amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Zikronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. Again, we invite you to stay standing. I mentioned that our confirmands here tonight, we need your help because our bat mitzvah is at home celebrating with family. So I think you all remember how to lead Kiddush and Motzi. Please join me on the bima. Bring your Sidurim because we're going to be on page 5. Ready? Page 5. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava uvratzon hinhilanu Zikaron lema'aseh bereshit ki hu yom techila lemidra'e kodesh zecher letziyat mitzrayim ki banu bacharta v'yotanu kidashta mikol ha'amim Shabbat kodecha be'ahava uvratzon kinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai v'kadesh haShabbat. Amen. Chaim. Anyone want some grape juice?
Sure, for sharing.
I mean, you can't all drink it because of COVID. So, Xander, I heard you first. Gotta chug it now. All right, someone else, Rowan, you're right next to the challah. Will you grab us that challah? Just take it out from under sorry. Thank you. Good job. Nice work, Xander. All right, we'll all say Motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. B'te'avon, you can all share the challah, so you feel free to rip off a piece of that challah, but let's save it till we get outside and we can take our masks off, and I invite everyone else who's here to also join us outside and stay for some oneg, some snacks, some treats. Please wish each other a Shabbat Shalom and introduce yourself if this is your first time here. But don't leave just yet. We're going to end with a prayer for peace. For sure. You guys can sit down. It's okay. All good. All good. You can take off your mask too.
We'll go with it.
Oh
Shabbat Shalom. Confirmation, we're going to meet in the chapel at 8 o'clock. At 8 o'clock, take some time to have some dessert. And parents, confirmation parents, you can pick your kids up at 10 o'clock. Shwa, you can.
Some radio, I know. Some radio.
How could you miss that after
I wrote
the
it. I
whole
wrote it down.
introduction?
Because I did, and then nothing came out. But anyway, yeah,